It's Derby Day in the Pacific Northwest, and that can mean only one thing: Portland and Seattle set to square off. And tonight, on the campus of the University of Portland at Merlo Field, it's Portland Timbers 2 and Seattle Sounders FC 2. We take a look at the Western Conference standings in USL, and you see Portland Timbers 2 into one of those coveted top 4 slots here. 3 points would not get them there tonight, but certainly an opportunity to move a step closer. And with that, we welcome you into the booth here at Merlo Field alongside former Portland pilot Joe Slevin. I'm Fletcher Johnson. Joe, let's start off with Portland Timbers 2 in the midst of a 5-match homestand, get a victory against San Antonio. A lot of fresh faces that'll get a chance to take in this rivalry for the first time.
And you touched on it, T2 in the midst of a very big playoff push here, but these derby matches, there's a little bit something extra. Whether you've been in it before or you're just coming to it for the first time, it's hard to comprehend what this I-5 rivalry means. It means a little bit extra on those tackles. It means you got to play a full 90. And regardless of where you're sitting at in the table, this is a match that every year you're circling on that the schedule.
Meanwhile, for Seattle Sounders FC 2, a lot of young faces in the lineup for them as
need to lean on their veterans here to deal with this atmosphere, to deal with the pace of play. From the get-go, they're going to be put under pressure. They're going to be asking a lot of questions of the Seattle Sounders starting 11 right now, and when they make those changes, they're going to need to cope with this very potent Timbers offense.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our players to watch. We'll start off with the visitors, Sounders 2. Jesse Daly gets a start in attacking midfield, leads the team in assists this season.
Yeah, Jesse Daly, we talk about that veteran presence. He's coming in, 1 goal, 3 assists, but he had that breakout game against Los Angeles on July 1st. They're going to have to lean on him to really put his foot on the ball, calm it down, because if you're going 100 miles an hour for the entire game, you're going to be gassed by about the 70th, 60th minute there. So Daly's going to need to help his team calm this game down.
Meanwhile, for T2, the 17-year-old Salem, Oregon native Carlos Anguiano gets his 2nd start of the year and first since March 31st.
And Anguiano going to be asked to do somewhat of the same, really dictate the tempo for that Timbers offense. His 2nd start of the year, but really going to show that Cameron Knowles, he's not really concerned with what you've done prior to this season. He's going to ask you to step in and immediately start to lead from the front. Really make the passes you need to make the defensive plays, and show the commitment that's going to be needed to get these 3 points.
Tonight marks the 3rd meeting between T2 and S2 here in 2018. Seattle Sounders 2 won the season opener back in March, and then it was a victory for Portland at Cheney Stadium on May 12th, 1-0. Who will break the tie here in this 3rd and final meeting in 2018? We'll find out when we get you starting lineups and the opening kickoff from Merlo Field here in Portland, Oregon after this. Back at Merlo Field for the 14th all-time meeting between T2 and S2 in USL regular season play. Sounders 2 have had the better of it over the years, but Portland has a chance to take the season series with a victory here tonight in the lone time Seattle Sounders 2 come to Portland here in 2018. And with that, let's go ahead and get you the starting 11. We'll start off with who have 6 changes from their last time out on August 11th, a 3-2 win over San Antonio. It's a 4-3-2-1 in front of Jacob Castro making his USL debut tonight. A couple other players making their USL debut, Joe, Peter Kingston and Alfonso Ocampo Chavez.
Yeah, and when you talk about the debut, what a game to debut in here. Sounders 2 and Portland Timbers 2, no love lost between these two teams, so I'd hope that they learn very quickly that this is an intense rivalry.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the T2 starting 11. 2 changes from the team that beat San Antonio midweek. Kendall McIntosh back in goal, and Carlos Anguiano, as we mentioned, in that attacking midfield role, but really Renzo Zambrano, Foster Langsdorff were the keys last Wednesday.
And how good has Zambrano been this year? It's really great to see him get that game winner at San Antonio, and Langsdorff his 11th goal this season, and 8 of those have come at home this year, so he wants to get on the score sheet game in and game out, and they're going to look on him, they're going to look on Renzo Zambrano and everybody else in that midfield. Think about all the chances that Loria creates, you know, and what they have coming in from Barmby on that left foot. Very creative offense here for Portland Timbers 2.
Well, we're just about set for opening kickoff. Our head referee for the evening is Bardil Passage. He is assisted by Corbin May and Oscar Benavidez. And then our 4th official tonight is Powell Soka. So we are getting our opening whistle, and we are underway here. Derby day between Portland Timbers 2 and Seattle Sounders FC 2 here at Merlo Field. Fletcher Johnson and Joe Slevin here with you. Portland Timbers 2, 12-10-3 so far this season on 39 points, good enough for 5th place in the Western Conference. Seattle Sounders 2, tougher season for them, 5-14-2 on 17 points, which is 16th best in the Western Conference. T2 like to score goals. They've scored a bunch of them so far this year. We'll get into some of those numbers a little bit later. Seattle Sounders 2, meanwhile, struggled to score goals, have allowed a lot of goals, but one of the talking points certainly, Joe, around this Sounders 2 team is the fact, as we see a yellow card issued to Jack Barmby already in just the first minute of action as he took down number 36, Denso Ulysses. The average starting age in the starting 11 tonight for Sounders 2 is 18 years old.
Yeah, it's a young squad, and you look at this challenge here from Barmby, and that's kind of what we're talking about when you talk about the rivalry game. I'm sure the instructions were from the get-go, let them know you're there. Maybe put something in, and I think the referee right now just wants to put a stop to that from the get-go. You see him pull out the yellow card. But talking about the start of the season here, the Sounders 2 open up their season with a win against Portland Timbers 2, but then from then on, they only win 1 more of the next 10 games. You juxtapose that with the Portland Timbers 2 squad that has performed really well. Talking with Coach Cameron Knowles and assistant coach Andrew Greger, they were talking about some of the points that they dropped on the road in recent weeks, and they weren't happy with that. It was almost back to the drawing board, back to the basics, and you're seeing a lineup here with a lot of experience. Barmby obviously getting the yellow card here, but you have Renzo Zambrano, you have Loria on that outside, the chances he creates, and then Langsdorff. Anguiano is kind of that outlier, but he has a lot of responsibility today. He's going to need to check for the ball, play in behind, almost as that shadow striker in an offense that all 4 of those that I previously mentioned are really used to playing with each other. Anguiano's going to have to feel his way and see where he fits into this makeup.
Talk about Sounders 2, the struggles they've had. They've allowed 41 goals this season, which is 8th most in the league. They need to clean that up here tonight and the remainder of the season if they hope to pull themselves up a little higher in the Western Conference standings. Unlikely that they will find themselves in the playoffs at the end of the year, but if the MLS Sounders have anything to say about that, you never count out a team too early. As we're back to action, and Denso Ulysses is back to his feet. Good to see him up and running around after the hard challenge from Jack Barmby, as the ball goes out to touch on the far side for a T2 throw.
And Kai Briscoe and Rodrigo L.A. back there, the 2 center backs. You really want that to be the basis of your defense. Between them, 18 starts on the season, so they're going to need to talk a lot to make sure they're organizing those troops. Again, you talked about that 18-year-old average starting age. That doesn't mean there's not experience out there, but it means that you're going to need to lean on every single ounce if you're going to be organized through this 90 minutes.
In the 4th minute now, first real continuous action we've seen after Ulysses went down and was down for about a minute and a half after a tough challenge, as Batista knocks this ball off of Ulysses and out to touch. Lamar Batista, one of the younger guys on this roster for T2, 20 years old, from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Has played both center back and left back this season for T2. Also gives us a chance to highlight the man with the ball at his feet right now, Max Ornstill, who's a central midfielder, but due to some injuries and other issues, Max Ornstill's been called in to play center back now. Consecutive matches. His only 2 starts this year have come the last 2 matches at center back.
Yeah, when you and I talked with Coach Cameron Knowles, he kind of recognized they're a little bit thin in that back line right now, but he pointed at the positives. We talk about Batista on that left side. He gets the assist at San Antonio. We talk about Nathan Smith, and he really liked how they got forward. He pushed it, you know, they pushed the tempo, they created chances, and it was a good performance from both of those outside backs.
Sounders too quickly coming the other direction here, and the ball just too far out in front of Ocampo Chavez. Picked up by Batista here on the near side, and he dribbles away, eventually passing away from pressure, and a nifty back heel from Langsdorf keeps possession for Portland. And now the ball at the feet of Andre Lewis. The Jamaican native finds Renzo Zambrano, who will go over the top for Foster Langsdorf, who's onside, runs onto it, takes the shot, and it's high of Castro's net. Great opportunity in the 5th minute for T2.
Jacob Castro almost flailing about there. I don't know how much he really knows about that, but already Foster Langsdorf, he's got a good amount of pace, and he gets in behind this Sounders 2 back line. I don't think he executes the way he wants to. I think a little bit of contact comes there just at the end. It puts him off enough to where he puts it over the bar, but I think that's Route 1 stuff, and that's something that Timbers can already do. You have to respect that. You start laying off, and that's when Timbers 2 start to really connect passes, and they're going to need to. Their 3rd game in 9 days, some tired legs. They can't expend energy trying to chase this game right now, and right now a good start from Portland Timbers 2.
Daly distributes forward for Gonzalez. Plays central into space. Back to Daly. Now to Kingston, making his USL debut tonight. The 17-year-old from Tukwila, Washington. Up into the air near midfield by Lamar Batista. He rises to win the header. Taken down, no whistle blown. No, now we get the whistle. The near side official here, Corbin May, raised his flag for the foul. And it'll be a restart for T2 just inside their defensive half. Mention the success that Foster Langsdorf has had. 11 goals so far for Langsdorf. Is tied for 6th best in the league. He's just 3 off the pace in the Golden Boot race, and he's certainly enjoyed playing here at Merlo Field and at Providence Park this season. 8 of his 11 have come at home.
And you and I were there for that hat trick, right? Even after 3 goals, he wanted to keep getting on the score sheet, and that's what you want from your striker. Somebody just hungry to score no matter what, and Foster Langsdorf has come in and just really owned that number 9 spot for the Portland Timbers 2 today.
Dizpay sprays it out wide. Batista controls. Looked like he was trying to play Barmby. Didn't find him, though. Batista and Gonzalez clash. Go down. T2 remain in possession. Ball at the feet of Langsdorf. Central for Anguiano. 1 touch back to him. And then this one comes in. Batista stopped his run. Not sure why Batista had stopped chasing after that one. Castro hesitated coming off his line. Batista would have been able to be there in front of him and potentially create something.
That's a bit of an awkward standoff. I think both coaches would say you got to come out and get that. If you're Batista, you're in behind, you're in on goal, and if you're Castro, you got to make your mind up. You can't do this start, stop stuff, or you get caught in no man's land. But I think right now I also want to point at Anguiano, the guy we honed in on at the start of this match. Normally you see a number 10 there, not a number 94, but he's doing a good job of just feeling his way into this game. 1 touch, 2 touch passing. He doesn't need to look for that decisive slicing ball right now. He's going to pick and choose his moments, and I think he's done a good job so far just through the few passes he's had of keeping possession.
High press from Sounders 2 forces Dizpay back to Kendall McIntosh. McIntosh making his 14th start of the season for T2 as he swings in from the MLS Timbers. Was actually in Kansas City last night. Flew back to start this match. So he's goalkeeper. Don't have to worry too much about the legs, but interesting to see how he'll play as this match progresses.
It's interesting because for me, goalkeepers, they expend a lot of energy in practice. It's in the games that maybe there's a little bit more respite, and maybe on the flight too, he's getting that recovery. He's having to multitask because, yeah, he's flying in from Kansas City immediately. You're on the starting sheet, so you got to get your mind right. You got to prepare.
And you almost wonder if he knew that as long as he didn't play last night that he was going to be starting. Have to imagine, just for a player's mindset, to try and get him to think like that and have the expectation, hey, if I don't get in for the MLS Timbers tonight against Sporting Kansas City, I will be playing for T2 tomorrow against Sounders 2.
Yeah, it's almost a very good example of what it means to be a professional, just having to be able to switch your mindset there. All right, you guys dropped 3 points at Kansas City, and now you got to be expected, you're in goal. You're in between the pipes with that very, very important position because you need to have confidence in your goalkeeper. You need to be familiar there because that gives you the confidence to maybe push that line a little bit forward, understand he can play with his feet. And McIntosh has done a good job so far for T2, and I think he's very deserving of just being able to come in and get that start today.
Back and forth action. Nobody really settling play or gaining better of possession so far as we're now into the 10th minute here at Merlo Field. Third meeting of the season between T2 and S2. Split the first two. Sounders 2 won the first meeting of the season, and that was back on opening day. A 2-1 win up at Cheney Stadium. And then they faced off again up at Cheney Stadium on May 12th. That was a 1-0 win for Portland, as Eric Williamson scored his first ever pro goal in the 92nd minute of action to win that one for Portland 1-0. Williamson played 45 minutes the other night against San Antonio, came off in favor of Carlos Anguiano. Not sure if it was injury concern or otherwise, but not in the 18 tonight for Cameron Knowles.
And he's had a couple knocks this year already, so it might be just a rest thing as they look to work him back into the lineup.
Great defensive work by Nathan Smith as he dispossesses Nick Hines over there on the far side and earns a throw. Nathan Smith, 23-year-old Clovis, California native, previously played with LA Galaxy. Made 9 appearances and 8 starts for Los Dos on loan in 2017. Has helped bring a little bit of veteran experience to this T2 side that struggled so much in 2017 as McIntosh forced to play quickly under pressure and just knocks it out to touch.
He's rushed there, but you saw how far up the field Batista's being pushed. Barmby's on this back line almost even with Foster Langsdorff. So Cameron Knowles really liked what he saw at San Antonio. And his instructions will be, listen, we're solid at the back here. Open the play, really expand as an offense because that makes it so difficult to clog those passing lanes, to shut things down. And the Timbers, too, when they're dominating possession, when they're in control, they're very technical and difficult to break down squad. And if you're the Sounders, too, you're looking at your lineup and you're thinking 18 years old is the average age. How do we work our way in?
Ibrahim Usman, his first real action, gets around Smith, but then Diz Pay comes over and strongly wins it away, forces a goal kick. 12th minute now. In case you're just joining us, Fletcher Johnson and Joe Slevin here with you this evening. Another hot day here in Portland, temperature in the high 80s, expected to be into the 90s as we progress through the week. Smoky weather with all the wildfires in Washington and Oregon. Don't expect it to have much of an effect on this match here tonight, though, as Barmby springs in Langsdorff, although great play by LA to shoulder Langsdorff off the ball, and it's clear to midfield.
Strong play there from LA. Foster Langsdorff, a lot of strength on him. He got his positioning right. You hear about taking angles there. I think he knows that Langsdorff has him for pace, but he makes sure he's goal side. He makes sure he keeps that forward in front of him, so he's just shouldering him off the ball, and that allows Jacob Castro to make a comfortable intervention. And again, look at how high Batista is on this left side. They're still struggling to find him. McIntosh maybe put one out of touch. Then you have another, you have Ornstill maybe putting one out of touch there. But clear instructions, clear philosophy and approach to the game. And Ornstill, who, as we noted, is a midfielder by trade, seems to have slipped in at center back pretty seamlessly.
Yep, 2 appearances now in the last 11. This is his 3rd in the last 12. He was a sub against Swope Park Rangers back on August 11th, then made the start against San Antonio midweek this past week. His mom, Barry, played pro tennis, so some athleticism in the genes for Max Ornstill. 23-year-old from Oakland, California, as Anguiano brings it forward, is pushed down from behind by Ocampo Chavez. Quickly back to action. Barmby sprays it out wide for Loria, who's been quiet so far. It's deflected away by Nick Hines with his left boot, and Seattle will bring it the other direction. Ball over the top for Ocampo Chavez. Diz Pay in a foot race with him, and Diz Pay showing his pace to outrace the forward of the ball. Diz Pay's been a little bit of a revelation, came in mid part of the season, made his first appearance in that friendly against St. Pauli FC, actually got a red card, was sent off in that match, but since that point has made 6 starts coming into tonight, 7 appearances, and has 13 appearances with the Cuban men's national team as well.
You know, as a player, I look at those moments as almost reassuring. If you're Dispay, already you know that you have Ocampo Chavez for pace. You can get a little bit tighter. You can make sure, even if he does turn, you can chase him down, and it's those little moments that stick in the back of your head. Even if you're Ocampo Chavez, when you're on a break, you're almost looking over your shoulder. So little moments like that start to build up, and they get you some confidence, or in the case of Sounders 2, maybe something to think about. You're not going to be able to play through or this T2 back line.
It certainly seems here early that Sounders 2 want to try and play over the top more often than not. At least that's what we've seen thus far. Maybe those are the types of opportunities that have presented themselves. But hasn't necessarily been a whole ton of creativity from S2 as Batista works his way around Ulysses, who eventually takes it away from behind. And Sounders 2 attack the other direction. Ocampo Chavez keeping possession, now plays out into space for Hines. Hines forward for Usman. Now central to Hopeo. 15th minute, we're a quarter hour in here at Merlo Field. Still scoreless. Portland with the best opportunity so far. A ball over the top for Foster Langsdorff, found his feet, but he put the shot high in the 5th minute. LA out wide for Gonzalez.
Probably the first spell of possession for Sounders 2 we've seen. They're just passing along the back line. You have 11 T2 players behind the ball. Again, we talk about how they expand on offense, where you contract on defense and get hard to break down, and then your only option really is to try to play this long ball. That's exactly what T2 would run here. It's exactly what Cam Knowles, Andrew Greger, and the staff would have been working on. They would be aware, just stay compact. You don't need to dive. You don't need to try to pick the ball off, because it will come to you if you guys are patient enough.
Dispay tries to play over the top for Langsdorff. He does well enough to force a miss-hit header for Sounders and keep possession. Lewis goes down, no foul called, and Sounders to attack the other direction. Usman pressured by Dispay. Smith comes over to help, and Usman just plays back towards midfield. All 11 players for T2 in their own half. Now Foster Langsdorff runs across the midline. LA is trying to play a through ball for Gonzalez. Wasn't making the run, and Kendall McIntosh is out to collect.
Yeah, I think S2 had just a window there. They didn't take it. That, you know, I think that Usman realized he was outgunned 3 versus 1, but that's kind of a latent effect of what pushing your outside back so forward is that Nathan Smith is out of position. That quick release ball, it can be dangerous, but a good job by Dispay to get over and just snuff the danger before it really even got too big.
Anguiano. Zambrano dummies on to Lewis. Now to Loria. Loria been quiet so far through a quarter hour. Play out wide to Smith. The return pass to Loria. And Loria fouls the S2 defender. Cameron Knowles in his first season is assisted by Andrew Greger and Aiden Brown. It's been a successful year, Joe, for Cam and his coaching staff. 12-10-3 after a dismal season last year. Cam Knowles comes in and has really injected some life and energy into this side.
I think life, energy, and I would even say stability. I think there's been a number of different lineups, but the philosophy, the preparation, the approach, it hasn't changed. He knows, or everybody coming in this lineup really knows what's expected of them. You take care of your defense first. You know your roles and responsibilities, and know who the players you need to find. And players like Loria and Langsdorff coming in, you can see their performance. It's just been lifted another level. The expectation that comes in with training or playing in the squad, it's really nice to see after, yes, what they would consider a disappointing 2017 campaign.
Knowles comes in to be the head coach for T2 after 6 seasons as an assistant with the MLS Timbers.
It's good to see him get that chance as well, and I think he's rewarded it. He's done a really good job of, again, proving this guy knows what he's doing. And I wouldn't expect to see him continue this trajectory, because his first season, you noted, he's done a good job of just getting things set in place and getting a team to perform week in and week out.
And Merritt Paulson, of course, a vocal owner of the Portland Timbers, said this week ahead of this matchup that he's been very impressed with what Cam Knowles has been able to do and the improvements that this T2 side have made. It's also worth noting as well, you bring in players like Jimmy Mulligan, who's not in the starting 11 tonight, but is in the 18, and Nathan Smith, Josh Phillips, some of these guys who have a few years of experience at the USL level only helps dramatically. And Cam Knowles would tell you the same thing about his coaching staff. Andrew Greger was the head coach for T2 the past couple seasons, and having him on his coaching staff to identify players to watch, styles that teams play, Cam Knowles said has been invaluable for him as he tries to come in and learn this league as quickly as possible, and this is first season.
Yeah, and Andrew Greger is such a savvy player in his own right. He thinks the game, he knows the game, he understands the game, and those two, they put their heads together. They've got Aiden Brown as well, a knowledgeable veteran there, and you talk about it. Before the broadcast, we had a little bit of a chat around experience versus potential, and it's really not one or the other. It's finding that balance, and they seem to have struck the right chord here because they do have that experience in some very important positions, and then you see someone like an Anguiano getting the go in a number 10 role, giving him the chance to play with these experienced players, to learn from them, to observe, and also just to interact in a very intense match.
So now 20 minutes in, Joe, what are your thoughts on what we've seen so far and really what T2 needed to do to emerge victorious in this one tonight?
You know, nothing too dangerous except for that Langsdorf shot he put over the bar. They've done a good job controlling the pace. What Sounders 2 have done is they've sat back a little, they absorb pressure, and both teams seem to maybe get a little bit frustrated and look for that ball over the top, whereas they need to continue with Batista, they need to continue with Smith pushing up on the side. And I think that's where the success came from. And so long as they keep that going, the goals will come. But you just need to have that patience. You need to have that understanding that it's not going to all happen. Rome wasn't built in a day, and this is the type of play you need.
Batista is onside, plays it behind Langsdorf, cleared away by Daly. Good build-up there from T2, maybe some of the best we've seen through the first 21 minutes now here at Merlot Field. Quickly back in to Lewis. Play to Loria. Loria, of course, made Sports Center top 10 plays, was play number 5 as Batista's offside here for his goal against Orange County back a couple weeks ago now. And his 38 chances created leads T2. So Marvin Loria on loan from Deportivo Saprissa in Costa Rica. Now in his
17th start, 22nd appearance here in 2018.
He's dangerous, you know, floating in off that side onto his very cultured left foot. You got to respect the fact that he can make the pass and that he can also just hit an absolute bomb coming in from that right side. It allows him to be on his ball-dominant foot, charging at the goal, charging at defenders, and you got to make your mind up. It's almost pick your poison if you're the Sounders 2 defense. Do I shut off the pass or do I try to close down the shot?
Anguiano fouls Rodriguez LA. And we'll get restarted here from the right foot of LA. Goes to Daly and switch the point of attack over to Usman. Overlapping run from Hines, he'll use him. Now central for Hopeo. Hopeo trying to work his way around Lewis. Disney comes out to clear. Straight to LA though. 23rd minute now. Cheeky flick doesn't come off from Sounders 2, and a foot race between Briscoe and Langsdorf. Briscoe wins, plays it back to Castro. May think that's a simple pass backwards. Seattle had a moment like that a couple matches ago where they had to play a back pass, and the goalkeeper that night was Brian Meredith, and completely misplayed it, went straight into the back of his net. So always interesting to see how defensive players play back to their goalkeeper, the type of pace they put on the ball. As Zambrano with a strong challenge, another tackle one, he leads T2 in that category. Again, quick ball over the top from Lewis behind Barmby and easily taken away by Seattle.
That's the curse of the keeper, right? You make one mistake and it ends up in a goal almost every single time.
Gonzalez plays out wide for Ulysses. Defended by Batista, and now lays off for Gonzalez once again. Batista there, corner of the 18. In for Ulysses, you can't quite control it first time, takes a shot slash cross. Not sure what it was. Batista then nearly deflects off of him for a corner kick, and in the end clears it out to midfield. Zambrano a calm header to Lewis, who will knock it over the top for Smith into space.
And Sounders 2 right now, it looks like their success is mostly coming from that left side, and it's mostly coming on the break, but again, Dispay's done a good job of just starting those attacks before they get going 100 miles an hour. He's doing a good job of just slowing it down. You don't need to win the ball, you just need to slow it. Make sure your guys can get back on D.
Here comes Ocampo Chavez down the far side. He's fouled, I believe, and it'll be a restart for Seattle, about 30 yards out from the far side of the field. Make that a throw, so it just was a deflection, and it is a throw-in for Seattle. Into Hines.
It's an interesting game. I just feel like neither team really wants to overexpose themselves right now, at least through the first 25, or maybe that was the instruction. If I had to tip my hat, I'd say T2 has had the better run of play, maybe created chances, but Batiste has been caught offside a couple times. Langsdorff puts one over the bar, so nothing too threatening.
Usman, overlapping run from Hines. Hines in space. Now Smith comes over to defend. Couple step overs, plays in for Usman, who takes a shot with a left foot. Doesn't get as much on it as he would have liked, and it bounces a couple times to Kendall McIntosh. McIntosh will roll it out for Dispay. One interesting note. We'll see if it plays a role in the second half. Lucas Milano back from his time on loan with Belgrano and Estudiantes in 2017 and early 2018. Could see the field for the first time for this Timbers organization since the end of 2016. We'll have to see if he does get the call from Cameron Knowles. But one of the players brought back during the summer transfer window in MLS. Batista tries a first-time play to Barmby, making a diagonal run towards the corner flag. Cut out, though, over the top. Ocampo Chavez can't control in front of Lewis, who picks it up. Under pressure from Ocampo Chavez. Is able to keep it and get it to Zambrano.
It's an interesting note because you have someone like Lucas Milano on the bench today for T2, whereas S2 is traveling just 16 guys and an average age of 18. They have a Stroud on the bench who's got you 9 goals on the year, but you're going to need to get everything out of those 3 subs today.
And you make the note, Seattle scored 23 goals this season. 17 of them didn't even, well, 9 of them are right there on the bench, but a majority of them, of those goals, did not even travel with the team here to Portland for this match. And for Sounders, too, they won't play again until next weekend, so it's not that they have a couple matches in quick succession. They play on the road against Oklahoma City August 25th, and then they go home for 3 straight, St. Louis, Orange County, and Tulsa. So not in the midst of a big run of games by any means, but certainly bringing out a younger side with 2 guys making their USL debuts and another making his 2018 USL debut, as Portland earns the ball back but quickly gives it away, trying to find Langsdorff over the top.
Warriors looking for that Hollywood ball. I think it was a simpler pass when he made it.
Comes Ulysses. His touch lets him down, and pass finds Carlos Anguiano. Bit choppy here through nearly a half hour. Neither team really any sustained build-up. Portland's had some moments, but haven't been able to find that final ball or that final touch to put it in the back of the net. Both teams with just 1 shot here through a quarter hour. As an important touch from Ulysses prevents Jack Barmby from being into the 18 1v1 versus Castro.
I think Barmby probably would have been off there, but Langsdorff, I think everybody slowed down for a second. Langsdorff run might have found that ball, but Barmby, I'm pretty sure, was offside.
Here comes Hines, make that Usman down into space. Defended by Smith, cuts it back central. Again, tries to find, I think that was Gonzalez or Hopeo, but his touch lets him down. Again, ball over the top from Portland. Loria can't control off his chest. And then it goes out off of Loria for a Sounders 2 throw. Gives us an opportunity to look at Seattle Sounders 2 manager John Hutchinson. He is in his first year as manager. Was named manager back on January 30th of this year, was assistant coach for S2 in 2017 after a 20-year playing career in Australia with 4 different clubs. Also had 11 appearances with the Maltese men's national team from 2009 to 2011, but the travel from Australia to Europe prevented him from playing much more of a role as that ball rolls out across the end line for a Kendall McIntosh goal kick.
Gonzalez couldn't get his right foot around it to put it back in front of net. Hutchinson's assisted by Wade Weber, only one assistant coach for this S2 side. And Hutchinson had 228 appearances with Central Coast Mariners down in Australia. He's the most capped Mariners player of all time. Don't care what league you're in, what level you're at, 228 caps, a big deal, Joe.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. And even in those European qualifiers with Malta, he got to go against Sweden and some pretty big names. So I don't think he's daunted by any of that, but I think he realized really quickly these North American soccer leagues, no matter what you're in, there's a lot of travel. There's a lot of different factors at play that you don't necessarily consider, right? You're thinking soccer in a lot of ways, but different fields, different surfaces, the environments, the seasons, the makeup of your team, you know, the product that you're putting on field game in and game out, you're going to have to adjust. And Hutchinson and his crew have maybe didn't get the traction they wanted to start the year, save for that win against T2 to start it off, because then they struggled a little bit after that. But it's been a learning year for him, I would say. But you know, I don't feel that he probably is daunted at all. He's fielding a team today. He seems confident that he can put out his younger squad and they're still going to perform. And right now, through 30 minutes, they've held their own with T2. They've done a good job in executing their game plan because they are breaking down that left side, and you can see kind of the skeleton of what they're going for. It just hasn't come off for them yet.
Loria quickly takes this free kick to Barmby. Back to Loria, who made the run into the box. He has a chance to send a cross in. Does so towards the penalty kick spot. Up in the air. Ornstill tried to win the header, and eventually Castro collects.
I like this ball from Barmby. He's waiting for that gate to open up. He's looking for that window. It doesn't come. It doesn't come. And finally, a little nutmeg pass slips in Loria behind, who pulls it back. He gets his defender on the ground. It's tough to generate power when you're chipping that ball in, and eventually Castro's able to come out and get it, but a good passage of play. It looks like that's maybe something they drew up, maybe something they saw prior to this game.
We're a half hour in case you're just joining us. Third matchup of the season between T2 and S2. This is the only matchup that'll take place in Oregon, as the previous two were up in Tacoma, Washington at Cheney Stadium. An S2 victory in the season opener, 2-1. And then on May 12th, a 1-0 victory for T2. So Portland looking to take the season series with 3 points here tonight. Here comes S2. Usman, overlapping run for Ocampo Chavez, comes off of Ocampo Chavez's hand, and it'll be a restart for Portland.
I'd say for the both teams right now, Usman has been the most positive in his play. He's looked to run at defenders, looked to run at that back line. And when we talked to Cameron Knowles before the game, he noted that, all right, despite the record, S2 is actually a team that's chock full of a lot of individual talent, a lot of players that can have that special moment, whereas there might not be the cohesion in a team where the average age is 18 years old. They may not have the amount of reps that you would want for your normal starting 11. They still have these individual players. You have your Jesse Dailies, you have Usman, who have that moment in them, and it just takes one, right? It takes one to come out with that 1-0 win, and I think, if I'm being honest, they recognize right now they might not outpossess T2, but they can still steal the game.
USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date with news, live game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7. Follow @USL on Twitter. Ornstill to partnership for the second consecutive match for Cameron Knowles' side. Now Lewis drops in between them, plays to Barmby, out wide to Ornstill. Barmby, of course, picked up that yellow card in the first minute. The hard challenge on Denso Ulysses. 23-year-old from Harlow, England. Has 4 goals for T2 this season. Anguiano in space, finds Langsdorff. First time shot blocked by LA, and out for the first corner kick of the night for either side.
It's a patient buildup from T2 here, and this is, I think, what Cameron Knowles and Andrew Gregor would want here. Anguiano pulling off the back line, and as he takes that touch, Langsdorff runs, taking him down that right channel. He spots it in a clever little disguised chip ball. A good block by S2, but a good chance created by Anguiano.
Loria will strike the corner kick. A left-footed in-swinger. Castro off his line, doesn't get to it. This one finds the back of the net thanks to Foster Langsdorff, who was Johnny on the spot. Castro didn't get it. It started rolling towards the S2 net, and then Langsdorff finishes it off. His 12th goal and 9th at home this season makes it 1-0 Portland.
And this is the breakthrough that T2 would have wanted here. They've been patient in their build-up. We said it right before this, Fletch, that I think out of the two teams, they've had the better run of play, but this is why you do an in-swinging corner kick. It's going right at the goalie. He's got to come out and meet it most times, and when he comes out, he misjudges it, falls in between three S2 defenders. They're kind of going towards their own goal, hard to clear, and Langsdorff says, I'll take this. An easier finish doesn't really come for him. His 12th of the season, 9th at home for Foster Langsdorff.
He just has a nose for the net this season. Now just 2 off the pace in the Golden Boot race in USL. You see the green smoke on the far side. T2 fans like to take advantage of that opportunity every time they can. Light up the green smoke when you score against a Seattle side. Now it'll be up to Seattle to chase, try and find an equalizer in the final 10.5 minutes plus stoppage time at the end of the first half. See if that opens up play at all between these two sides. Daly, central for Kingston. Kingston out wide to Gonzalez. Make that Ulysses. Ulysses defended by Batista. Goes central for Daly. Zambrano comes over to cover. High press from Portland. Dizpay dispossesses his man, and here comes Renzo Zambrano, full speed running the other way. Zambrano goes down, Briscoe wins the ball. A Seattle player remains down behind the play. John Hutchinson wants an explanation as to why there was no foul called there, and Seattle eventually plays it out to touch. We'll have a chance to look at the replay and check who the man down is. It looks like Ocampo Chavez is the player down holding his right foot.
And he's checking this ball. I think he's saying he got clipped, whereas Zambrano's saying he got all ball. Jesse Daly has to get rid of this ball, and you know what? The challenge comes in from Dizpay, and as he's coming down, I feel he comes down the top of Ocampo Chavez, but to me, nothing really malicious in there. It's just an after effect of that challenge, but it's interesting. You know, there's bodies flying about right there, but other than that first card in the, in the first minute for Jack Barmy comes in, it was almost like two groups are squaring off for a fight, and somebody actually threw a punch, and everybody goes, let's calm down. Because since then, for an I-5 rivalry, it's been a little bit of a tamer affair, I'd say. And yes, we're looking at 1-0, but that goal comes off your set piece. For the most part, again, these two teams pretty equal in their possession or approach.
You look at Foster Langsdorff, now second in goals scored in the USL's Western Conference with 12. He just has a nose for the back of the net, and you look at what he's been able to accomplish. He went through a dry spell early on in the season, then maybe a little bit after he had that hat trick, the first ever in T2 history against Los Dos. But as of late, he's been able to find the back of the net early and often, and it's been a big reason why Portland has been able to find a lot of results here as of late to not only keep them in playoff position, but improve that playoff position as time has gone along.
Yeah, 3 national championships at Stanford. Doesn't come without a goal scorer and a guy who keeps putting it in the net game in and game out, and that's who Foster Langsdorff was. And that's who he continues to be. He's worked a lot with this Timbers 2 staff to recognize your movement in the box. It's so important. Yes, you can overpower, you can get on the end of chances like this, but how many goals have we seen this year where he's checking his run, where he's making that darting path to the front post? He's doing a good job of just mixing up how he's being productive. And I think when you add those different elements to your game, when you look at him as a forward, he's becoming more well-rounded in this T2 squad, and they're leaning on him. They recognize, they know he wants the ball, they know where he wants it, and he'll do the rest. He'll put it in the back of the net. And that one, yeah, it doesn't get much easier than that first goal right there, but he also has 12 others, right? They don't ask how, they ask how many. And right now he's at second in the Western Conference.
Second in the Western Conference, 4th in USL. As we're back to action, Ocampo Chavez back on the field, or is actually still waiting to be waved back on by our center official, Bardiel Passage. As Seattle Bad pass as Lewis dispossesses his man. Numbers for Portland if they hurry. Central for Anguiano. Anguiano's pass trying to find Barmby, cannot do so. He needed to work it around LA. Couldn't get it around him. Barmby would have been in on net. Great turn by Gonzalez. Beating out Batista. Anguiano comes over to help. Now Anguiano fouls Gonzalez. And Seattle has the restart.
Anguiano is scrappy, but I think he's disappointed with himself. He had Barmby in on that left side, and LA does a good job standing his ground because he holds that line, and as Anguiano is running towards you, he's cutting down your angle to play in Barmby, and Barmby, he has to check his run. He can't get caught offside, and right there, a pivotal intervention from LA, because otherwise I'm thinking Barmby's putting the Timbers 2 up 2-0.
Sprayed by Lewis, finds Barmby behind the defense. Barmby has a diagonal run, rather a straight ahead run from Langsdorff in towards the penalty spot, but the pass too much on it and too far out in front of Langsdorff. Castro collects. Portland really growing into this match over the last 10 to 15 minutes.
As the midfielders have played their way into this game, I think they've realized the moment I get it, I need to look left to Barmby, or I need to look right to Loria, because they seem to be in acres of space when you initially get the ball.
Headed on by Langsdorff. It's Castro who has to come out. It's right at the edge of his 18. Dicey whether or not he could have played it with his hands. Instead just plays it out to touch. Has to quickly run back into his net as Portland plays it out. And then Anguiano is fouled by Kingston.
I think Anguiano gets a little bit bailed out there. Timbers too wanted to get it started quick. I think they recognized that Jacob Castro had come a long way out of his net to clear that ball, maybe getting a quick shot off, but Anguiano just wanted to keep possession. He's done a good job. He's done a good job of connecting the passes and calming it down. In a lot of ways, the nerves of maybe your second start, the nerves of that I-5 rivalry, or playing that number 10 role as an academy player, play into your favor in that you're keeping the game simple. You don't want to overcomplicate things, and that's what he's done so far. And here we see the same exact type of play that they tried on that right side, trying to slip in Loria. So I think they like what they saw that first time. It just didn't come off this time for Timbers 2.
Important touch there by Batista. Had he not gotten to that one, it would have probably rolled all the way to Usman, and the counter would have been on for Seattle. Instead, Portland remains in possession in the 41st minute, thanks to a 1-goal lead. Foster Langsdorff finding the back of the net in the 34th minute. Sun just about to go behind the West Hills here in Portland. A welcome sight for those of us here on the east side of the stadium.
We were taking the full brunt of that heat for the first half there.
Loria now out wide to Smith. Smith will send the cross in after a prep touch. Barmby rose to win it, but LA got there first. And Seattle clears only as far as Loria.
LA's done a good job of being a physical presence in that Sounders 2 backline. He's had some pretty important interventions, some pretty important passes that he's cut out, or headers he's gotten on the end of.
He looks like a giant out there because his fellow teammates along the back line run at 5'10", 5'7", and 5'8". So that 6-foot stature looks pretty darn big as Ulysses bounces off his head and out to touch for a T2 throw. Batista to take. 42nd minute. In for Langsdorff. Langsdorff telling Barmby where he wanted him to go. Shields Jesse Daly off the ball and plays back for Ornstill. Over to Dizpay, who has plenty of time and space. Langsdorff and Daly got into it there a bit after Langsdorff had released the pass.
As a player, you can do a little something where you're shielding the ball, but you can get something in on your actual defender, and that's what he does. He throws that shoulder, and there's nothing illegal about it, but he wants to let him know, you're not going to push me around. You're not going to dictate where I'm going. I'm going to do my job here. Because Langsdorff, yeah, he put this team up 1-0, but also as a forward, your job is to really put your foot on the ball and calm things down. If you don't have anything, you don't need to force it. And right there, it's a nice steam release valve to play to the back line and start building again for T2.
Gonzalez and Batista shoulder to shoulder. Ocampo Chavez making the through run, but the ball doesn't make it to him. T2 now with it is Lewis.
Good read by Ornstill to cut that ball out. I think he wanted him to see it like a free safety, and then you jump the route and you pick off an easy pass.
Daly, ball over the top for Ocampo Chavez. Well touched off the chest by Ocampo Chavez, but once again Dispay right there to avert any danger. This one goes out for a T2 throw. Watch highlights from every game of the 2018 season and stay up to date with news from across the USL at the league's official Facebook page, facebook.com/USL Soccer.
We honed in on Jesse Daly at the start of the game, but to me it looks like he's sitting back a lot more. I think they're leaning on his experience to keep the midfield organized, not necessarily provide a goal just now, but yes, he's trying to play over the top, but he's staying central. He's organizing. He's trying to get in the middle of passes, but he's got a very aggressive Timbers 2 midfield coming at him here. Zambrano, Loria, you got to keep track of Barnby. You even have Langsdorff checking back. There's a lot of bodies around you, just a lot of space to occupy, I guess, if you're Jesse Daly.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that was an interesting piece to watch, especially with the youth that are around him. And I mean, it's not like he's an old soul. He's only 20 years old, but he is one of the few players out on the field today that is not in his teens. So he is an old soul in that sense, as the ball over the top from Dispay looking for Langsdorff was defended by both Briscoe and LA, and was easy stuff for Castro to come and collect.
Yeah, I think veterans may be a relative term in today's match.
Zambrano once again, another tackle one, and has the ball at his feet. Great find, Barnby here on the near side. Barnby first time touch. I don't know if he was playing Anguiano or Langsdorff, but in the end it was Ulysses to come over and collect to prevent further danger. We are just about set to move into stoppage time here at the end of the first half. Expect to see 2 minutes added, and that is what we see. Majority of that came when Denzo Ulysses went down on the hard challenge from Jack Barnby in the first minute of the match. Really haven't been many stoppages other than that, so we'll play 2 minutes. We're through 15 seconds already.
It's been pretty fluid so far through this first half in terms of stoppages.
Daly touches over to Ulysses, defended by Barnby. Ulysses surveying his options, will now dribble at Barnby, step over once, play back out to Daly. We'll go square over to Kingston. Finds Opeo, who takes the shot well wide of Kendall McIntosh's net, was jogging that way and knew that it was not going to threaten him.
S2 looking for any channel that's going to open up, but T2 doing a good job to staying in their positions, and eventually goes wide. It really wasn't dangerous at any point when it left the foot, but I think right now the priority is let's get to half with this 1-0 lead. Let's get to half and don't concede, because right at this almost last 2 minutes of the stoppage time, you don't want to be giving up a goal. You don't want to give them a chance and come out in the second half and put this to bed.
Stay up to date with all of the best from social media around the USL by watching Off the Post with Kelsey Steele every Friday evening on the USL social media channels. Here's Jack Barnby into the 18. Barnby has the ball taken away from him, and then it just kind of sits there for a bit before Castro's able to come out and collect nearly a second with just less than 30 seconds left of the added 2 here at the end of the first half. Seattle averts disaster there. Is there time for them to find an opportunity before the break? They'll play out wide. That is Usman, overlapping run from Hines. Hines, first time cross in, nearly finds Ocampo Chavez. Dispay has to play out across his own end line, and it ends up in the first corner kick of the night for Seattle. It'll come as we are past the 2 minutes of added time here at the end of the first half.
Again, you got to be organized. You don't want to give anything up here.
Taken short. Anguiano's out to defend. Deflects the cross. And then Zambrano clears. Well done defensively by T2 to make sure they don't give up an opportunity on net on the last play of the half. And because of it, Foster Langsdorff's 12th goal of the season will take T2 to the break in front 1-0 over their rival Seattle Sounders FC 2. We'll be back with first half highlights, first half stats, and more from Merlo Field as the sun hides behind the West Hills. It's halftime here on the campus of the University of Portland And we'll be back in just a bit.
Cochran tonight appearing in his 71st career match with San Antonio FC. He's been with the club all 3 seasons, most consistent there on the back end.
I felt like my whole life I've always had to prove people wrong. Getting cut from the state ODP team when you're 13 because you're too small, and then in your club team you sit on the bench until you're 16 or 17 years old because you're too small. Everything kept referring back to you're too small. There's no better feeling in the world of being able to look at someone that told you no and to be able to say, I told you so. You kind of see it all when you go through times of playing, getting cut, being someone on the field, playing all the time. It kind of gives you a good grasp of where different players are and what their mentality might be. It's definitely shaped who I am. I wouldn't change anything for my career or for how it's gone. Not only have I grown as a player, I think I've grown as a man in terms of being able to deal with anything that I really think that's thrown at me. I think there's a bunch of different ways that you can be a leader. Bring my lunch pail to work every single day, and I try to get better every day. And if I have that kind of mentality and other people see me pushing, regardless of what we're doing, that's the kind of leader I want to be. This is my 3rd year here, and to be able to stay in one place and to really grow with it has been a tremendous honor, and it's something that I don't take for granted at all. Every time that I step on the field, I hope that I represent this club and this city. It's a privilege to play for such a passionate fan base. I'm Greg Cochran, defender for San Antonio FC.
Johnson! You've got to be kidding me! Oh, what a finish! Growling Spruce! I'll say the other way. Oh, what a goal! Near post! Oh, what a finish by Charlie Ward! And what a world-class goal that is from Didier Drogba! Great save for Strakovic! Diving stop! Must-see TV.
back at Merlo Field once again here on the campus of the University of Portland as T2 find themselves on top at the break against rival Seattle Sounders FC2 1-0 thanks to Foster Langsdorf's 12th goal of the season. Welcome back into the broadcast booth alongside Joe Slevin. I'm Fletcher Johnson. Joe, T2 9-3-1 when scoring first, so they'll look to build upon that. But what did you see in the first half that you liked, and how did this one play out thus far?
Yeah, it was a tense affair, and I felt through the first 30 minutes T2 and S2 were feeling each other out. Neither one really wanted to expose themselves. If you had to give the advantage, it would probably be to T2, and they eventually get on the score sheet. But for the most part, through that first 45, a pretty even match.
Let's go ahead and take a look back at the first half highlights, and it really was the Foster Langsdorf show when it comes down to it. You look in the 5th minute, it was a ball over the top, and he put this one high.
Yeah, I think this little contact causes him to get off balance, but it was a good job by him to get him behind that S2 back four to start the game.
We look into the 33rd minute now, and it was Carlos Anguiano who set up Langsdorf.
Yeah, we talked about how important his role will be in this game, and a nice, clever slip ball in behind here from the youngster. Finds Langsdorf, a good block by S2, resulting in a corner, though.
This resulted in the only corner of the first half for Portland, which they capitalized on.
Yeah, I think Jacob Castro misjudges this one. 3 S2 defenders converge on this ball, but it's actually Langsdorf who has the better play on it, and all he has to do is just get anything on that ball and put the Timbers 2 up 1-0.
Foster Langsdorf now tied for 4th in USL in the Golden Boot race with those 12 goals. As we mentioned, he's 2nd in USL's Western Conference, and more importantly, put T2 in front in the 34th minute. As we look back at the first half stats, once again, Joe, Story in terms of this tells us it's been a relatively even affair.
Yeah, again, you look at 54% possession for T2, I would say they were more positive in that possession. They were a little bit further up the field. S2, really the only success came down that left side, and everything else, you look at that, Kendall McIntosh not tested at all during that first 45.
So T2 come out of the break on top, looking to pick up a 3rd consecutive win. They won at Swope Park last weekend rather. Midweek beat San Antonio FC at Providence Park, and trying to pick up, as mentioned, the 3rd straight win tonight against S2 here at Merlo Field in the midst of this 5-match homestand. And Joe, this really is the playoff push for Portland. They do have a bunch of matches on the road coming up after this 5-match homestand. They'll play 4 of their final 5 away from Portland, Oregon. Matches at Las Vegas, at Fresno, at Sacramento, at Phoenix. All teams that they struggled with. They did beat Sacramento earlier this year here in Portland, but they lost. It's going to be important, including tonight and then the next 3 matches, to get maximum amount of points.
Yeah, and I think out of those games, they look at the points they dropped. They didn't necessarily felt that they were out of those games, and they've got to be disappointed with themselves. If we take a look at what these home games mean, yes, this is a rivalry match. Yes, it's the I-5 Derby, but you need to get the most out of your home games, whether it's here on Merlo Field, whether it's at Providence Park. I would say as a unit, you know, Cameron Knowles said they were maybe a little bit disappointed at how they taken those homestands, but so far they do seem to be clicking a little bit more. There's more traction within this team, some consistency, and they've been performing pretty well.
So now tell me, as we watch the teams come back out onto the field and you look at assistant coach Andrew Greger there, what does Portland need to do, especially here in the first 10 to 15 minutes, to make sure that they solidify the lead that they've built, if not build upon it? Because we've seen this T2 team at times struggle coming out of the halftime break.
Yeah, I would say after this first half, they're pretty happy with how they performed. They didn't really expose themselves too much. They realized that in that back line, they have the pace to deal with what S2 is throwing at them right now. So I think the instruction would have been, let's stick with what's working right now, which is our possession-oriented football. At this point, they're trying a couple balls over the top in the first 5-10 minutes of the game, and they were losing possession cheaply, trying to find Barnby on this left side. But it was when they started building down these wings, when they were getting Smith, when they were getting Batista involved, Loria's coming in, they're finding Anguiano, that they really started to build some pretty creative offense. The real important thing is they can't get complacent. They can't rest on this 1-0 lead, because really, if it's one mental lapse, then it's a tie game. You have a little bit of momentum if you're S2. There are players on the bench for T2 today that could change things up, including Lucas Milano, who I figure we might see as they look to get him some minutes. Him coming off and injecting a little bit of experience, a lot of pace, and somebody who's hungry to really prove themselves as he sees himself back into this Timbers organization.
Well, it will be John Hutchinson's S2 side that makes the first chess move, as David Estrada, 9 goals, leads this S2 side, will come on in place of Alfonso Ocampo Chavez here at the break. David Estrada, 30 years old, from the Michoacan region of Mexico, previously played with Charlotte Independence and Orange County Blues back when they were the OC Blues. Is in his first season with Sounders too, had 11 goals in 61 appearances over the last 2 seasons with Charlotte, and he's played for 8 different teams in the last 9 seasons. We'll be looking for his first goal, though, since a matchup with the Las Vegas Lights back on July 26. We're underway here in the second half. Fletcher Johnson and Joe Slevin here with you, as Seattle possesses here early. High pressure from Renzo Zambrano nearly dispossesses Seattle, but instead this one comes over the top. Smith and Hines in a foot race. Hines goes down, and a foul will be called. No foul called, and it will be out for a corner kick, though, for Seattle. It looked like our head referee Bardiel Passage was going to blow his whistle, instead did not, and it ends up in a Seattle corner kick, their second of the night.
It took them 45 minutes during that first one. They're already in this second half. Just a positive long ball forward gets themselves a corner.
Opeo, the short option for Gonzalez, who this time will send it in. Header won by Loria and then put on frame. A great save by Kendall McIntosh to keep it out from the net. Seattle remains in possession, though, in the attacking half. Ball sent back in. LA still forward. Header won by Batista, cleared by Lewis. Langsdorff is offside. The flag does come up. Seattle quickly restarts. Great opportunity for Sounders 2 to level the score right at the start of the second half here. Can they keep the pressure up?
It was nervy a little bit there from me. Loria pulled out of this header at the last moment. It hits his back, and I think the Timbers 2 back line is not ready to deal with it. And McIntosh, he doesn't see it till late, and he just has to parry it up in the air and eventually to get it clear, but a little bit of a nervy moment.
Hines beats out Loria, floats a ball towards the back post and over the head of Estrada. Strong start from S2 here at the beginning of the second half. Good hold-up play by Langsdorff, finds Lewis in space. To Loria. Loria pressured by Daly, out to Smith. Back to Loria, making the run down this near side. Goes out off of Loria for a Sounders 2 throw. Quickly back in for Kingston. His pass intercepted by Renzo Zambrano. Now diagonal ball for Loria. Can he make the run and beat out Hines? Hines gets a touch to it, goes down, as does Loria. And now Briscoe clears.
And Loria, maybe not a name we said enough in the first half. I think if I'm T2, I want him on the ball. I want him going at defender. So not surprising that they're looking to get him involved early on in the second half. And Anguiano there again, a little bit of a mistouch. You can see the physicality is probably what he's going to struggle with most when it comes to this game. He's got the touch there, he's got the thought. It's just a little bit of a nudge off the ball puts him off more than what you'd see for maybe a more physically developed player at this point. He's a youngster. He's a young kid coming in here, and he's holding his own. He's looking to challenge. He did a good defensive stance on that corner at the end of the half, but every once in a while you've seen something put him off more than it normally would, and that's where he's going to struggle. That's where he's got to develop his game.
And you would have to imagine that if you're John Hutchinson, the manager for S2, you're telling your team to do that, as Smith is offside on the diagonal ball, was in space behind Hines, but the offside flag came up from Corbin May. As we look at the save from Kendall McIntosh.
And again, yeah, he pulls out a little bit here for Loria. S2 gets it back on frame, but I think McIntosh has to wait. Does Estrada get a touch? He can't go until he knows that, and that's why he's diving to his right. He does a good job to deal with it, but I think it's a nervier moment than you would want at that T2. You'd want Loria to get his head on it, get it out, push up as a back line, and there he kind of turned his head at the last moment, and it resulted in a chance you didn't necessarily need to give.
So maybe you could say, in a sense, a bit lucky for T2 there to start the second half, that they didn't give up something up there. Through ball in for Estrada, and McIntosh, as we know him for, quickly off his line to collect.
You know, Estrada, 11th overall pick in the MLS Super Draft back in 2010, so he's got plenty of experience. You'd look at Alfonso Ocampo Chavez, and I think he had a tough task from the get-go. It's his first start here in the USL, and he's going against a very physical T2 back line, and it's Estrada has some experience, some hold-up play, some runs, some little things he can do to help out this S2 squad as they look to get on the score sheet.
And an outstanding member of our production team lets us know that Estrada scored a hat trick for the MLS Sounders in his debut back in 2011. So he's a player who knows how to find the back of the net, and he has certainly injected some life into this S2 side as they pick up another corner kick already here early in the second half. Taken short. All sent in, deflects off of Lewis, headed away by Barmby. Zambrano will try to get on the end of this one. Cannot do so in front of Briscoe. And Seattle remains in possession. Usman will dribble at Smith. Try to work his way around Smith. Sends the cross in towards the back post. Goes all the way through. No Sounders player was forward enough to get on the end of that one. It's tracked down there by the far corner flag. And then out across the end line. Do we see a foul called? The head referee is going to run over to the spot, I believe. Well, we'll see. Yeah, as a foul on Lamar Batista just outside that far corner of the 18 on the end line. Basically be a short corner from about 20 yards away. A dangerous opportunity here for Seattle in the 51st minute.
Yeah, and he's running right at Batista, who I think gets caught in his heels there, and all he can do is put that arm out. Now they can put this in the mix, or you have some room here at the top of the box. Zambrano's cutting that off right now, but this also might be something you have drawn up beforehand.
Whistle blows. It will be in and flicked on. I believe that was LA who flicked it on. But no one could get on the other end of it for Seattle, and Portland clears pressure momentarily. Hines back in towards the top of the 18. Header won by Dizpay, eventually controlled by Daly. Estrada and Daly, a little one touch back and forth with one another. Out to Kingston. Into space for LA. Now out wide to Ulysses. Defended by Smith. Batista and Smith on opposite sides of the field right now from where they're used to being, and Estrada's shot is high and wide of McIntosh's net. He was worried for a moment before he saw it was too high, and that was actually Azriel Gonzalez.
And a good run here. He's cutting in. A quick touch to the right. Gets there before anybody from that T2 back line, and there's a dangling foot from Barmby, but a very good chance there for S2. They've already had a better spell of possession here in the second half than they did through those first 45 minutes. And I think if you're John Hutchinson, you're going into halftime, as much as you're down 1-0, you've taken what T2's been able to throw at you, and you're only down 1-0. You're happier with your squad than if you're looking at a bigger deficit. That goes without saying, but I think overall they were executing their game plan.
Ulysses gets on the end of it on the ball forward for him. Dizpay, important touch to get it to Ornstill, who clears to midfield. Back with S2 though, and it's Hines who brings it forward to Estrada. The 30-year-old comes across in, cleared away easily by Batista.
Right now, S2's getting on all these clearances. They're getting on all the second balls. T2 can't get a whiff of this possession.
Gonzalez out wide for Ulysses. Now to Daly. Switch the point of attack over to Hines. Does well to control it with his left leg. Plays back to Briscoe. Langsdorff quickly there to press and forces the turnover, and then Langsdorff fouled by Briscoe, and we'll see a yellow card. The first caution of the night for Seattle goes to Kai Briscoe in the 54th minute.
And a good shift there from Langsdorff. He's looking to help out his back line. Right now, he's just standing helpless at the top as the other 9 defenders for T2 right now are sitting back trying to absorb the pressure. He gets up. He gets that pressure going for Briscoe. Briscoe gives a poor giveaway. And then as he earns the ball back, I think Briscoe recognizes, I got to make this foul or else we have Langsdorff in behind us.
Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit www.selectsportamerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50. T2, as we mentioned, have struggled a bit in the second half at times as Carlos Anguiano gets on the end of this one. It's behind Barmby, though, as he tried to send him in, and Castro collects. T2 holds the lead into the 75th minute, though.
Yeah, good.
or they build upon it. They've been deadly if they get to that point. Undefeated this year when leading in the 75th minute at home, 5-0-0. They did it against San Antonio the other night, some nervy moments, but were able to get the job done. We'll see if they can do it again here. As Batista clears that away momentarily, Gonzalez comes over to collect.
And right now, that's a good stat to have, that you can close those games out. As S2 has to look for a response, look for an equalizer, they're going to get more exposed, and it takes the patience, the understanding, the experience to know when to go forward, when to take those chances, because again, we noted the amount of games in the short spell of time, you can't expend too much energy trying to chase that ball down. Pick and choose your moments, and as a team, when you go, everybody goes.
Ulissi causing problems for Lamar Batista, earns another corner kick for Seattle. The 56th minute. Just joining us, Fletcher Johnson, Joe Slevin here with you at Merlo Field. T2 in front 1-0 thanks to a Foster Langsdorff goal. This one, his right foot cleared away by Anguiano, and it will be collected by Ulissi. He'll actually let it run out to touch for a throw. T2 have done a marvelous job this year when it comes to clean sheets. Sit in very good position, 9 clean sheets, which is 8th best in USL. Would like to pick one up here tonight. Some defending needed over the final 35 minutes, and certainly would like to add some cushion to the lead as well.
And Kendall McIntosh flew all the way back from Kansas City so he can get another clean sheet, so he wants it too. He's parrying that ball off his own end line and keeping this lead for T2.
Zambrano nutmegs Hopeo, but in the end it is back with Hopeo. Out into space for Ulissi. He has Gonzalez if he wants him corner of the box. Instead will blaze across all the way through. Couldn't curl it enough and goes out for a goal kick.
He held that power button a little bit too long. Goes out for a touch. You know, I've been impressed with Anguiano today. It's not necessarily the technical stuff. He's not wowing you by taking on 2 or 3 guys, but the poise, the composure he's shown right now in that number 10 role as an academy player, as a youngster, has been very good to see him not lose his head, not overextend himself.
Zambrano lets it run by him. Shields with his body, does well to keep it in front of Daly, and then Daly very upset that he felt got the ball clean. A foul called though.
Good display of physicality there from Zambrano. Just getting his body in between the ball and his man and drawing the foul. Again, that allows you to get a little bit of a breath, take a break, get in your positions.
Batista will lay off for Lewis. Lewis doesn't have any options forward, so Batista was moving back into his natural position. Found him, plays to Ornstill, across to Dispay. Now out wide to Smith. Down the line for Barmby, who's onside. Central for Anguiano. His first touch lets him down a little bit, able to keep it. Cuts it back on one man. Second defender, Briscoe, comes over to help out. Otherwise, Anguiano would have been able to potentially get a shot off with his left foot. Kind of tilts his head back in frustration because he knew nearly had a moment there with some nifty footwork.
And we talked about maybe he hadn't taken anybody on yet, but there we see him. Nice display of skill, just kind of darting in between his players. That smaller stature maybe enables you to do that, and he almost finds that window of space to get that right-footed shot off.
T2 happy to calm things down a bit. Seattle had the better of the possession, better of the opportunities through the first 10 minutes of the second half. But Portland has been able to calm things down. Laurie, an audacious attempt from 45 yards out, well wide.
Audacious, but we did see a goal from there. You know, from Zambrano. Took a deflection.
Took a deflection.
He'll take it.
You take it, absolutely, right?
Yeah, apparently they told him, you know, you got ability from there, have a go, and he had his window. It's nice when the coach tells you something, it absolutely works. It's funny he hasn't taken one yet, but there I think Loria maybe wants to get something going. He wants to put something on net because he hasn't seen as much of the ball, again, as he maybe normally sees in a game.
It's been relatively quiet throughout the course of tonight. He did send the cross in. That was The ball that Langsdorf eventually found the back of the net with, as Dispay's clearance blocked and picked up by Estrada, and then Dispay knocks down his own man Smith. Estrada has it, will play in now to his own man, to Lewis, who clears, and into space for Smith now. Lewis, important work defending there, but Smith's clearance is blocked and back at the feet of Estrada. Estrada into space for LA. Takes one heavy touch forward. Continues his dribble forward, tries to play a ball through that Loria clears away, and now a chance for Portland to counter. 3v1 if they hurry. Anguiano behind the defender Briscoe, picks out Langsdorf. Barmby's offside, so Langsdorf can't play him. Barmby gets back onside now. Seattle gets numbers back. Here comes numbers forward for Portland though. Barmby central for Zambrano, one touch, left-footed deflection into the back of the net. The flag stayed down, and T2 has a second in the 61st minute. Renzo Zambrano is a man who loves to get deflected goals.
Well, we just mentioned it. He had a deflection goal last week against San Antonio, and here gets another one on that left foot of his, but it's a late arriving run from him. He does a good job to get this onto that left foot, and I'm not sure who it comes off of here, but the moment he gets it, he knows what he wants to do. And it comes off of an S2 defender there, so really no complaints for an offside, but again, you got to shoot to score. They don't ask how many. You know, you can say what you will, but Zambrano, who wasn't on the score sheet for the entire season, now has 2 goals in 2 games. He's playing a little bit more advanced. They're telling him to get forward, and he's rewarding them with goals. So Cameron Knowles, Andrew Gregor, and the rest of this Timbers 2 staff have seen something, and it's paying off. And it's really nice to see a performance from Zambrano, because through the first parts of this year, he's done a good job leading these troops, leading this T2 squad, and now he's getting on the score sheet. Now there's a lot of end product to what he's bringing to the game.
We're back to action. T2 looking to pick up their 7th win at home this season. They're 6-6-0 so far this year, including a 2-3 mark in 5 matches at Merlo Field. T2 now with a little bit more cushion, and Sounders 2 needing a pair of goals to get themselves back into it. Numbers again for Portland if they hurry. It's 4v2, and now Zambrano touches into Barmby. That was Barmby who got on the end of it. That was a Langsdorf rather. Falls to Zambrano in the corner, back heel with the right boot to Barmby. Under pressure from Briscoe. Barmby tries to spin it around Briscoe, who does well to take away the ball. Sounders 2, you'd have to imagine, will start to push more numbers forward here, which would give Portland more opportunities to counter. The far side has Estrada on a diagonal run. We'll use him. Estrada forced to pull the ball back. Now another diagonal run from Gonzalez down near the far corner of the 18. Defended by Dispay. Substitute coming for T2 here momentarily at the next dead ball. And now Dispay is called for the foul. It'll be a dangerous crossing opportunity for Seattle in the 63rd minute. But before that, we will see Lucas Milano come into the match, his first appearance for the Portland Timbers organization since October 23rd of 2016. Spent 2017 and the early part of this year on loan with Belgrano and Estudiantes, and was brought back August 9th. And runs back out onto the field in a T2 kit in the 64th minute.
And he gives you a lot of pace, a lot of experience, but a lot of pace. More experience now than his first stint with this Timbers organization. And I think it's going to be a nice injection of just some new energy, something he's going to look to get in behind and look to get involved.
He'll be a part of the 2-man wall with Jack Barmby here. Floated ball in towards the penalty spot, and a foul called as Ornstill went down. I believe they called LA with the foul as he knocked Ornstill down. We get another look.
And this ball's floated up there. I think McIntosh is already tracking it. He knows he's going to punch it wide, but a push comes in and puts T2 on their back. But you know, typically you don't say substitute on a set piece there, but he's just getting involved in the wall. But I would say for the T2, they've done a good job of standing up to this pressure from S2 coming out of the break. They withstood, they bent, they didn't break, and they get back in 2-0 now, and they're a little bit more comfortable. Again, you can't get complacent, but somebody like Milano is going to want to get in and get involved.
Zambrano finds Milano, does well to hold up play. Touch is a little bit heavy, but he's able to work it out to Batista, who's making a heavy run forward. Batista dispossessed by Briscoe, and now S2 can counter. T2 have good numbers back here, and pressure from Zambrano forces S2 to slow things down. Now, though, it's Hines with it, trying to work his way around by Lewis over Kendall McIntosh's net. An important touch. Estrada was at the back post, but another corner kick for S2.
Hines, good job here. He kind of freezes Smith for a second, gets this touch in, and as he hits this, you're clearing the ball towards your own net, which is always going to be dangerous, but this touch goes over for a corner kick.
Cross comes in towards a penalty spot. Batista gets there first and clears away, out to touch on the far side. It took a deflection off an S2 player, so Portland has the opportunity to come over and take the throw in. Langsdorff sprints over, but instead will take his time. Now in the 66th minute, Fletcher Johnson and Joe Slevin here with you. Timbers 2 maintaining the clean sheet. If they can do it, it would be their 10th of the season. They're currently 8th best in USL when it comes to clean sheets. And boy, would it be nice to pick up another one here against Seattle. If they're able to do it, it means they would have only allowed 1 goal to Seattle in 3 matches this season.
If I'm not mistaken here, the introduction of Milano has seen Langsdorff slip back into that number 10 role as Milano's staying up top a little bit higher. More depth at getting in behind with his pace, and then Foster Langsdorff also gives you an enormous amount of work rate, both offensively and defensively, playing where Anguiano just was. It'll be interesting to see how Milano works his way in. Does he try to check to the ball? Does he get to his feet, try to combine, or does he just try to get on that score sheet and get in the box?
When you look at Milano, certainly not bulky by any means, but certainly seems as if he's put on a little bit more weight since his last stint with the Timbers as Batista fouls LA. Really would like to see him get a chance to open up the legs tonight and see what he has there. We'll see if he gets an opportunity here in the final 24 minutes plus stoppage time.
Yeah, it's easy to forget how relatively young Milano was when he was in his first stint here. He comes sporting back, maybe a little bit of a weathered look, cultured. He's more used to playing on that wing, running at people. It's interesting. I'm curious if he'll continue to play that number 9 or if this is a move just to make sure he can easily just play the offensive part of the game.
Bad pass backwards by Batista, catches Lewis out. Here comes a shot, cross in from Estrada, and it's collected by Kendall McIntosh. Seattle had big numbers forward there. It was an important catch by McIntosh. He made it look easy. Now Portland on the counterattack. Find Loria. Milano, ball at his feet as he was able to remain onside before the pass came. Now back to Loria. Loria dribbling corner of the 18. Cross comes in, and a goal for Foster Langsdorff. It's his 2nd of the evening and has put Portland 3 in front in the 68th minute.
Really good build-up play here from T2. Milano checking to the ball. He lays it off. It gets wide. Loria also involved in that build-up play. He keeps his run going forward. And from that moment on, he knows that Foster Langsdorff is just making an all-out sprint to that front post. I've been to a number of practices where they are doing this exact play. So he knows where he wants to put that. He knows how he wants to put that. And he is now 1 off the pace for the Golden Boot right now. Foster Langsdorff, as you noted, has an absolute nose for him. What a good story it is to see him come here and continue the success he had collegiately. Now with T2, an enormous amount of work he's putting in and day out, and it's nice to see the finished product on the field.
Langsdorff, his 13th goal of the season. Meanwhile, for Marvin Loria, his 6th assist of the year. And Portland, barring a miracle from S2, well in control to pick up another 3 points here this evening. Cross comes in, Dizpay clears away. Hines beats out Lewis for the header, and S2 remains in possession. Estrada sends it in. Dispay once again wins the header. Milano comes back to control with his knees down to Lewis. Now Langsdorf. Langsdorf has Barmby on a run, plays it behind him, but Barmby's able to spin around and collect. Barmby long switch over to the far side. Loria trying to chase it down, just not quite enough pace to get there. It was a nice idea from Barmby, but just a little too far out in front of Loria. In the midst of all this, Joe, let's go back. Carlos Anguiano, his second start of the season. He comes out for Lucas Milano around the 62nd, 63rd minute. What are your thoughts on his performance tonight?
I thought Anguiano did well. You know, he comes into a San Antonio game and he creates a chance for Loria, actually. He did a good job of just being smart with his touches, not overextending himself. I think the instructions were you don't need to go out and win this game for us. You just need to go out, perform your duties. He did the work defensively too, which is nice to get from that number 10, but he was clean on the ball. You can see really what was missing was the physicality, and that's going to come. But from a technical standpoint, from a tactical standpoint, how he thinks the game, you can see it's there. You can see he wants to get involved, and he understands the position, the flows, the ebbs of the game. I was really impressed with Anguiano today.
A lot of Timbers fans and T2 fans hoping this is only a glimpse of what will happen next Sunday at Providence Park, when the MLS Sounders come to take on the MLS Timbers in their third and final meeting of the 2018 MLS regular season. But Foster Langsdorf, a pair of goals. He's now tied for second in USL with 13. And Marvin Loria, just another chance created for him. He already leads T2 with 38 chances created coming into the night. So dangerous when he has a chance to send a shot or a cross in with that left boot. As this one rolls out to touch near midfield, and Cameron Knowles readies his second substitution. It'll be Jimmy Mulligan, the man coming on. We'll get to that at the next stoppage of play. A lot of numbers forward for S2. Milano in the center circle. Defended by LA. Gets the ball to Loria. Loria taken down by Ulysses. No foul called, though. Daly just knocks it forward. Chested down by Ornstill. Really doesn't have an option to play McIntosh, as Estrada was back to cover. Does play McIntosh, who punts out to midfield with his left boot. And T2 earn a throw.
We talk about familiarity, and Ornstill and McIntosh played at Santa Clara together, so maybe a couple back passes in their pass between each other.
We'll see Jimmy Mulligan come in, the 26-year-old Medford, New York native, making his 22nd appearance of the season. And he will replace Lamar Batista, who will make the long walk over from the far side of the field and certainly take his time with this walk. But Batista's day is done, his 10th start of the season. He goes 73 minutes.
Yeah, you know, it's going to take his time getting off here. I think Batista did a good job building off his last performance. He gets the assist at San Antonio. The instruction work continued to push up, and I think there were a couple errant passes that could have gone his way and opened things up. He got caught off sides a couple more times, but the thought was there. The execution, maybe not so much, but a good performance again there from Batista, and Mulligan gets a chance here to finish this out for from the 73rd minute.
Foul called as Barmby was taken down behind the action after he had released the pass. Foul's called on Usman. Get an inside look at life on and off the field from a player's perspective every Wednesday evening in the latest edition of From the Pitch on USLsoccer.com.
You know, a quieter game for Loria we were talking about, but he gets his one chance to put in that cross for Langsdorf. Now he's getting back on the ball, but it's good to see him involved now. Even though it was quieter, he still has made an impact on this game.
6 men in and around the box for T2. Loria will strike it with his left boot, sends it in, curling ball in front of his targets, and Briscoe collects. S2 running out of time, just 16 minutes plus stoppage time left here as Estrada is nearly sent in. McIntosh, though, quickly off his line to knock it out. Nearly put it onto the roof of the Childs Center. And Big Dome over on the far side of the field. Quickly back in. Out wide to Ulysses. Defended by Smith. Play back to Atencio, who came on in place of Peter Kingston, Atencio dribbles all the way in, finds his man, and it's blocked. It would have been in the back of the net as Kendall McIntosh was out of position. I believe it went off Diz Pay, and now the counter on for Portland. Lewis springs in Milano. Milano dribbling into the corner of the box, decides to play across. It's blocked away, puts it in once again. Castro catches and collects. Love to have seen Milano take a shot there with his left foot, but he decided to cross instead.
Yeah, you know, Milano does a good job getting up that left side, and you're right. I think I want to see him take a shot. I think I want to see him be a little bit selfish there. Get on the score sheet in your first game back. Nobody's going to blame you. You're up 3-0.
Here's Daly, top of the box. In for Estrada, who's onside. Estrada saved by Kendall McIntosh. Strong off his line to block away at the 6-yard box.
Really good job here by McIntosh to just stay on his feet, stay big, because this is a tough angle to cut down, and he does a great job of just snuffing that chance out, and it goes out for a corner kick for S2.
Final 15 minutes. T2 undefeated at home when leading with 15 minutes to go. Daly. Into Hopeo. Out wide to Gonzalez. Gonzalez defended by Mulligan. Play it, cuts central, cuts back once, twice, still with it. Jimmy Mulligan did well to stay in front of him. Now to Atencio. Atencio takes the shot, puts it in the back of the net. S2 has pulled one back in the 76th minute.
And it catches a deflection here. Still don't know if it already has McIntosh beat. He's got to be disappointed because he's done a great job to keep a clean sheet up until this point. Right here, he gets it on his left foot, takes a little bit of a deflection, and McIntosh is just watching it go past that outstretched left hand. But again, it's been a great performance from McIntosh. It's unfortunate to see him concede that one here, but again, T2 is going to need to just kill this game off. This is why you scored the 3 goals beforehand. You have the personnel on the field to do it, but they'll probably be a little bit upset afterwards.
Maybe a little bit of fair play in a sense as Barbie catches Castro out. And did it take a deflection off of LA? It did. What a clearance by Rodriguez LA to keep it out of the back of the net as Castro came out to the edge of his 18 to clear, and Barbie hit it first time.
Poor clearance, and the moment he hits it, you almost see him recognize, oh man, I'm out of my net, but as the presence of mind to take the shot and then the presence of mind to get back, Elie makes a pivotal intervention there because you're almost conceding right after getting your first goal for the game.
T2 plays short. Loria and Barbie a little 1-1. And then Daly takes down Loria. It'll be a free kick from a very similar position as a couple minutes ago for Marvin Loria if he's the man to take.
Yeah, I played on this field for 4 years. As this game gets going on, just towards this part of the game, you're going to be tired. It's a big field. It's a lot of ground to cover.
Off the bar, up in the air, header by Diz Pay. Did it go in the back of the net? No, now it did. The whistle blew before the last shot came in, so I don't know if they're saying Diz Pay did get the goal or if it was the rebound. And I think it was Diz Pay. Everybody's celebrating with our Adrian Diz Pay, who opens his account for T2 in 2018.
I think it was him as well. It's a quick free kick that they take. This ball comes in, but it's not fully clear. Clangs off the crossbar, and at this point, you're just scrambling. The touch there goes off the post and goes in, but Milano just makes sure. A good finish from both those guys.
No doubt about it. And T2 restore their 3-goal lead in the 78th minute.
And right after they get their equalizer, S2, T2 bounces back, and Diz Pay easily could have stayed back, but he's in the attack, and he's rewarded for it.
Things have certainly opened up here as of late as Daly takes the shot. An important touch by Kendall McIntosh to keep S2 from getting another goal, and Estrada and McIntosh going at it now. Starting to see a little bit more tension rise in this match, although T2 already 3 goals in front. Out to Daly. Daly will float across in and well across the end line. He'll be disappointed in that effort. It harmlessly into a goal kick for Kendall McIntosh.
You're right. Up 3-0. McIntosh still a little fired up. He knows what this game is. I don't think he likes how those S2 players are maybe pushing him, trying to get that ball out of his hands. He's trying to kill the game off here. Both teams would be doing it regardless of the situation, but I think if I'm T2 here, you got to be careful. Don't get caught up in those games. Don't get caught up trying to make the challenges or put a little extra on. Just come here, kill off this match. You're already up 4-1.
Milano sends Laurie in, though an important body check by Atencio and deflection to win it back. It rolls out to touch for a S2 throw. Dangerous cross ball from Atencio. Finds Briscoe. Make that Ulysses. And now to Gonzalez. Gonzalez central for Atencio. Out wide to Usman. Usman in space, defended by Nathan Smith. Now central, cleared away in front of Hopeo. Atencio knees down, and Smith picks up. Does well to control in front of Usman.
They got Barmy over here on this right side if they get the switch.
They do switch, but instead we'll play a little further behind Barmy to Mulligan. And then it will roll out to touch. Daly central for Atencio. Make that Hopeo, who can't control. McIntosh eventually picks up in front of Estrada.
It's good to see that reaction from T2. You know, they concede. Not a soft goal, but a deflection goal. It's a little deflating. You're already up 3-0. It's easy to just say, hey, still let's pack it in. You got this 2-goal lead, but they go forward. They get it within the next 5 minutes of the game, which a lot of times coaches will tell you the first 5 minutes after you score, you're pretty susceptible, but I think that's unfair to say. I think S2 hasn't done necessarily too poorly, but they have to push forward to look for those equalizers, and you leave yourself susceptible. And then from a physicality standpoint, I think that's the one thing that for me this game's really been highlighted is that T2 from a physical standpoint has their, has the number of S2 at this moment. On set pieces, on those through balls, there's just a little bit more body, there's a little bit more experience and size there, and they can lean on that, and they did to get that 4th goal.
4-1, 82nd minute. Atencio, central for Hopeo, goes out wide to Gonzalez. He's got Estrada in the box, will dribble at Mulligan. Now into the corner of the 18. Trying to work his way around Mulligan, tries to chip McIntosh, curls it a little bit too much. Kept in play though on the far side. No, it did roll out for a goal kick, which gives us an opportunity to take a look at the upcoming schedule and specifically the next match for T2. Quick turnaround, they'll play midweek against Orange County SC at 7 o'clock right back here at Merlo Field. And extra intrigue around this one with Foster Langsdorf's performance tonight. Tomas Enevoldsen is the leading goal scorer in USL, the Golden Boot leader at this point with 14 goals. Foster Langsdorf hot on his heels, so we'll see the top 2 goal scorers in USL midweek right back here at Merlo Field. So make sure to join us if you can for that one.
It'll be a fun one to watch for sure.
Zambrano fouls Estrada.
Oh, that one.
And then there was a clash of legs that ended up with Zambrano catching the worst of it. And he remains down. Looks to be in a fair amount of pain. And will require the trainer to come out.
It's almost a sign when people aren't rolling around that it's a one that definitely hurts. He went fully into this. Didn't want to lose it, didn't pull out by any means. Neither did S2 here. I think it was Asensio that comes in for that challenge here, but watch the swing he takes here. He gets the initial challenge, the ball's out there, and it's a full swing contact. I don't know if he gets any foot there, if it's the ball, if it's just the contact itself or the follow through, but that is definitely going to hurt.
Being tended to, all the players crowding around, grabbing water. Certainly hope that Renzo Zambrano's okay. He's back up to his feet, which is good to see. Grabbing some water himself and walking off under his own power. Zambrano, such an important piece of this team. He leads T2 in passing percentage, over 87% of his passes completed, and tackles won as well, 37. He's won a couple tonight and has been right on that number when it comes to his passing percentage, and such a stabilizing force there in the defensive midfield.
Yeah, that's a captain's challenge right there, and he comes off worse for the wear, but leading the team in passing percentage. He's got 2 goals in 2 games. He's been asked to do defensive work earlier in the year. He's been told he can go forward. He's a little bit more of a license in the offensive third of the field now, but a really great job by him throughout this entire season, really, to be that mainstay, to be that pillar within this T2 makeup that can change from time to time, but he knows what he needs to do every single game.
Atencio dribbles through a couple players, tries to chip over the top for Estrada, can't find him as it's cut out by Portland. Now Loria and Ulysses going head-to-head. Loria eventually wins out, pressured by Ulysses still. Plays to Smith. Loria back to McIntosh. McIntosh under pressure, gets the ball out to Zambrano, showing that experience. T2 have a chance to push numbers forward here. Catch S2 on the counter. Seattle does well to get numbers back. Barmby now floats one over to Milano on the far side. It looked like, no, that was Langsdorff. I think he was trying to head back across for Milano, but couldn't quite get it right.
I think so. That would have been a pretty audacious attempt to try to loop that into that far post.
Hines dribbles across midfield under light pressure. Now out to Gonzalez.
Gonzalez has been good on this left side. He's running at his defender, Smith, Mulligan, whoever it is. He's done a good job of trying to create something, and he's been a bright spot for S2 today.
Atencio once again tries to go over the top. And Estrada sprints down to force McIntosh to pick it up. 4 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. Fletcher Johnson and Joe Slevin here with you. T2 look well on their way to picking up a 3rd consecutive victory and a 2nd consecutive in this 5-match homestand, which will continue Wednesday night against Orange County. Gonzalez lays off for Daly, goes across to Hopeo, tries to dribble around Lewis, does well to cut it out, and now to Loria. Loria, pressured by LA, will try and beat LA for speed. LA takes down Loria, and we'll see a caution card for Rodriguez LA as he took down Loria. So LA in the book in the 87th minute.
I mean, how many people this season in the USL have we seen Loria pull off? There's no move, there's no step over, there's no cutback. It's just push and run. When he opens those legs up, he is so fast. You got to get something on him, try to something to slow him down. And in that case, he gets brought down. But as he's worked his way into this game, it's nice to see Loria hasn't lost the confidence. He still wants to run at people, get that ball in, find Langsdorff. He wants to find Milano, Barmby as well. They're combining well, and that front line has done a good job evolving.
All right, Gio Calixtro comes on. 2nd appearance for him this year in place of Foster Langsdorff, who gets the brace tonight into 2nd in the USL Golden Boot race. Your thoughts on number 28?
You know, my thoughts haven't necessarily changed too much throughout the year. I love his approach to the game. He's hungry. He wants to score.
Calixtro, first touch is onside down near that end line. We'll play back to Milano. Milano dribbling forward still. Take a shot. Castro deflects her, bounces off of him instead of catching it right back in front of Milano, but he's able to get on top of it before Milano can get a 2nd touch to it. Now S2 bring it the other way quickly. Here comes Gonzalez down the near side. He'll go central for Atencio. And back into space for LA. 2 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. T2 on their way to 3 points. Barmby intercepts the pass. Zambrano volleys over to Loria. Loria has the overlapping run from Smith. Instead, we'll go central for Lewis. Zambrano dispossessed by Daly. Lazy there. Estrada sends in Daly. Tries a first-time finish. Saved by Kendall McIntosh.
Tired legs, tired minds there from Zambrano. He wants this one back for sure. He tries to pull it back in a dangerous spot, and S2's on the break.
S2 played short. Estrada now to Daly. Daly will send the cross in. Once again, overcooks this one. Virtually the same spot. Can't keep it in play. And it's a goal kick for Kendall McIntosh.
And back to that chance there. Daly
Probably the first time we've seen him in that offensive third. He tries to get his hips around it and find that far post, but all he can do is really get a little bit more of an angle. It's a comfortable save there for McIntosh in the end. But a careless giveaway from Zambrano, and those are the mental things you need to cut out of your game. You can't give them a chance to work their way back in.
And how about the way this T2 team has played over the course of the last couple matches? The center back partnership of Adrian Dispay and Max Ornstill, especially with Ornstill normally being a central midfielder, for those two to perform the way that they have and really not give up many opportunities to the opponents over the last two matches, San Antonio and Sounders too. It's been impressive to see, and you have to feel like they have some momentum now moving through this 5-game homestand. Corner of the 18 will strike a shot. Easy stuff for Kendall McIntosh.
But you're right. You said Dispay has been a really good revelation. Somebody's come in and just picked things up right where they left off, and it's true. He's done a great job. They're leading from the front. They're organizing everybody. And Ornstill, maybe not a center back by trade, but he also gives you that technical ability of a center midfielder, and that helps out as well.
Milano, now to Lewis, into Loria. Offside flag is up. The USL's official Instagram account has highlights, photography, and interactive content with the league's players. Get it all at www.instagram.com/USL Soccer. Well, a comprehensive performance, especially you can say in the second half from T2. The only goal they allow off a deflection that went off the back of Dispay. He made up for it, scoring a goal of his own. The fourth of the night for T2. Foster Langsdorff with a brace. Renzo Zambrano, second goal in as many games. T2 seemed to be peaking at the right time. The month of August did not start off the best. A tough performance at home against Phoenix Rising. But went on the road, won at Swope Park, came back home. And this, the third match in 8 days. Pick up their third consecutive win as just 1 minute and 45 seconds are remaining at the discretion of Bardial Passage.
They've looked fresh, you know, for the most part. You wouldn't have guessed that they played that many games in this many days, but they look good. They came out well, they started well, and except for maybe that first 10 minutes in that second half, for the most part, even that goal for S2 kind of came against the run of play. They had a very good performance. Maybe tired legs in that Zambrano giveaway, but that's the only thing I'll point to.
Loria dribbles around Atencio and just leaves him in the dust. And can't get around a second man, though, as that was, I believe, Briscoe who came over to help. But Loria, once again, showing his pace, just easily worked his way around Josh Atencio as we're into the final minute of the added 3. This ball in for Hopeo. McIntosh came out. Dispay said, hey, I got it. Don't worry about it. Clears to near midfield and Lucas Milano.
Dispay did well to recover there. I thought he was beat for pace, but he gets a foot in. I thought there was maybe going to be a clash of bodies, but McIntosh sliding out to nothing in the end.
Hines too far out in front of Estrada, and it ends up in a goal kick. 20 seconds left at the discretion of Bardial Passage. McIntosh will take his time with a restart. 3 points will go to Portland. They'll move to 13, 10, and 3 on the year, on 42 points, 1 back of Sacramento Republic, 2 points back of Phoenix Rising. As McIntosh's goal kick comes forward, goes out of play, and the final whistle is blown. Portland Timbers 2, 4, Seattle Sounders FC 2, 1. Joe, your thoughts on the 90 minutes from Cameron Knowles' side tonight?
I think if you're Cameron Knowles, you're happy with your team's performance. They came out and did what they needed to do. They stifled what they needed to do from S2. What S2 threw at them, they dealt with, and I think you live with that goal, what you gave up there. Other than that, a really comprehensive, solid performance from a T2 squad that's really clicking right now at this part of the season.
And in the first half of the year, you would see Portland come out and give up a goal in the first 10 minutes of the second half, and things wouldn't go their way. You've seen the maturation maturation and the growth that's taken place as they're able to prevent S2 from getting a goal there in that stretch, and it helps them move on to a 4-1 victory, their 13th of the season. Let's go ahead and take a look back at the highlights, and plenty of goals to look at here tonight. Started off in the 34th minute with Foster Langsdorff finishing off the corner kick.
Yep, a fairly even first half, and it's nice to see them get on the board because they probably were the better of the two teams there. It falls right to Langsdorff. It's clashing bodies, and he'll say, I'll put this in for his 12th of the season.
They took the 1-0 lead to the break. And then after, as we mentioned, Sounders 2 dominated the first 10 minutes of the second half. It was Zambrano finding his second goal in as many games.
And his second deflection goal in as many games. He gets on this left foot. He has no other idea in his mind but to take a shot, but it's still a good one. He hits it well, and it goes in for a 2-0 lead.
7 minutes later, it's Foster Langsdorff who picks up his brace.
And the build-up play was so good here. This is just the cherry on top because as Laurie puts his ball in, there's 5 or 6 passes before where they were working in sync and getting this lead.
8 minutes later, it was Seattle Sounders 2 that got on the board. Josh Atencio, his first goal of the season.
And McIntosh did such a good job today to keep a clean sheet up until this point. Unfortunately, catches a deflection off Dispay, who maybe remembers that for the next play.
Yeah, we certainly will. Just 2 minutes later, it was Dispay who finished after Barmby bounced it off the crossbar.
And a quick restart, caught S2 sleeping there. The ball's bouncing around, but we talked about the physicality, and nobody's beaten Dispay to this ball, so it's an initial header right here that's hit off the post and into the back, but then Milano, just for good measure, puts it in as well.
As we now take a look back at the full match stats, you can see, again, relatively even match throughout the course of the game, but in the category that matters most, Portland 4, Seattle 1.
Exactly. Possession maybe didn't go towards T2 in the end, but the possession that S2 had was not as dangerous. We talked about shots there. S2 registering 11, but that seems to be the way these T2 games go. They make their shots count as opposed to just volume shooting.
Yeah, it's amazing to take this into consideration. T2 are 8-3-2, now 9-3-2 when outshot by their opponent this season. They're just 4-6-1 when they outshoot their opponent. So bizarre number there for Cameron Knowles' side, but in the end, all that matters, 3 points here tonight against their rival Seattle Sounders FC2, and they take the season series as well with a dominating performance here this evening, 4-1 in favor of the home side. Well, that'll do it for us this evening. We'll be back on the airwaves Wednesday night for Portland Timbers 2 and Orange County SC. The top 2 goal scorers in USL will square off right back here at Merlo Field. For our entire broadcast team, as well as my broadcast partner, Joe Slevin, I'm Fletcher Johnson. Trust you enjoyed the result tonight. Thanks for spending the last couple hours with us, and we'll look forward to talking to you on Wednesday night for more Portland Timbers 2 soccer. They get the result this evening, 4-1, and continue their chase for the USL playoffs. Good night.